Hey guys, I'm Charles Neal. You know, having done a lot of chair classes, the one thing that always kind of gives everybody an issue is the compound mortise and tenon. And just like cutting dovetails, there's a lot of debate whether you cut the pins first or the tails first. There's always a debate on this is whether you do an angled mortise or you angle the tenon. In my world, it's a lot easier to angle the tenon, because even if you angle the mortise, the problem that you run into is that, let's say this is going to be a chair back and we want this to angle out. Even if we angle the mortise, the tenon comes in, you're going to have to pare or do something, because you're going to have to get the shoulders on the same angle in order for it to come up and fit tightly. So years ago, I came up with a little jig that helps handle all of that. And I'm going to show you the jig in just a minute, but I'm going to give you the premise of it. It's kind of a box and a box and a box. It's designed to fit over my fence, but it could also fit, I think you could do it against the fence as well. But if you can look in here, you see what we've got. We've got two carriage bolts, top and bottom, and this allows this part of it to hinge. Now, the only caution I'm going to give you is, if you build one, I mean, again, it's just looking at it, it's very simple, is to make sure that you're in alignment and that your spacing is correct, meaning that you want where you drill your hole here to be the same as over here so it tracks straight. Okay? And the same thing with the end pieces, these pieces on your box. Make sense? Hope so. Anyway, now what this does, this allows it to articulate back and forth. So in a case where we have this piece of wood that we have an angle this way and we have an angle the other way. Now the first thing you're going to notice is I set up a backer. Now what you want to do is make sure this is in and down tight to your table saw in both directions. You want to be tight in both directions. If you're not, then you simply loosen your bolts and set it so you are. But this is close enough for a demo. Now right here I've got my mortise, my tenon rather, drawn onto the surface. Now prior to doing this, of course, you would set your depth. And that cuts your first shoulder. Then, now I'm just going to set a mirror up. And the reason I'm setting the mirror up is this allows me to move my fence for my second cut, and I can look at the tooth on the dado blade and just make sure it's lined up. That's the way I ain't got to get all the way over. Okay. And I now have a angle tenon. Now, for the cheeks, I think I got that right. What I usually do, you could lay that dado blade out or a table saw blade, but then you got to deal with it from the other side to cut the bottom. These typically I just do with a hand saw, saw down, saw in, and create them, because this is the hardest part right here. And so now you have something that's going to do your angle, and I can come into a straight mortise, and I've got it. I'm going to show you the jig one more time. Let me grab the tape and I'll give you some quick measurements. All right, to make sure you understand, what it's doing is it's indexing off of the table saw. And as long as this tenon is setting flat on the table saw, it's going to create this angle, and it's going to create, now these are cut, pre-cut to the angle and whatever you want. But all this is designed to do is to create the tenon. And as it goes through, and as you saw as it goes through, you've got it. And it does fine. Works really nice. Matter of fact, several of the guys have written articles on it and looked it up and wrote about it and whatever. This is always the winner. Now the jig itself, and this one's bigger than what you need. This one's 24. And again, this is much bigger than what you need, but I'll just give you a little bit. And this, of course, 3/4 plywood, but the whole length here is 10 7/8. And the box inside is 7 1/2 by 22 1/2, and that's just designed to fit between the two pieces of 3/4 plywood. Now I feel sure a lot of you guys out there can improve on it, and you could probably put some wing nuts in here and put some gauges or whatever on it if you need it, but it works pretty quick and pretty slick. Hope you like it, and if you've got compound tenons to cut, it makes life a whole lot easier. I'll catch you later.